Thank you for making time to join us today for this special session, Touch, Train, Transfer, VR simulators with a digital trainer on duty. Instead of slide heavy webinar, think of this as a live industry podcast, two teams and one conversation. So a quick word on who is at the table. GVW, Global Value Web. So our clients know as a GVW. We work at the intersection of people, process, data, and technology, helping organizations move confidently toward digital maturity. And joining us is Cryon Technologies, building some of the most exciting work in IoT, AI, AR, VR, and cloud for industrial operations. Together today, we are asking one question. Why is traditional training struggling to keep up, and can VR change that? So most operator training still happens through manuals, SOPs, and classroom sessions, and that works until it doesn't. Because when an operator faces a real plant event or a pressure spike, a deviation, a shutdown, reading about it once doesn't prepare them for that moment. And this isn't just operational anymore. It's regulatory and training regulatory related warning letters are up to 70% in the last fiscal year alone. And inspections have shifted from did they sign the record to can they actually do the job. The escalation is real. 483s, warning letters, consent decrees. Training has moved from back office checkboxes to frontline risk. So that's the backdrop. So I am going to introduce our fantastic speakers, which brings us to what we actually want to explore today, how VR-based operator training simulators combined with predictive models work. So to unpack this, we have two speakers today. First one is Anusha. So Anusha works at intersection of training and the compliance in pharma, making sure training programs actually enable regulatory readiness, not just tick boxes. Welcome, Anusha.
Yeah, thank you, Durga. Hello, all.
Yeah. And joining us from the tech side, we have Vishnu, CEO of Cryon Technologies. Vishnu brings us 15 plus years across instrumentation, automation, and digital transformation, and leads Klonos, a Crayon's industrial digital twin platform, bringing together 3D, AI, and XR. Vishnu, great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, DP.
Yeah,
Pleasure connecting with you all.
So let me start with one question that many organizations are struggling with today. Despite investing heavily in training programs, we still hear about skill gaps, operational errors, and safety incidents. So Anusha, from your experience working with different organizations, where do you see traditional training methods falling short? Can you explain from your point of view?
Yeah, sure, Durga. So I will quickly share my screen. I hope it's up. Yeah, thank you. So I would say traditional training method limitations were classroom training and static training. So I see classroom training is highly passive because from a research it was identified employees retain only 10 to 20% of the knowledge what they hear through lecture after 48 hours. And also now that FDA is checking for a competency, which a classroom training doesn't easily prove. So generally, the classroom trainings were expected to happen in conference rooms, where it is like sessions are like way different, like from your clean room environment or your actual machinery. And this makes it challenging for your operator to coordinate a slide regarding for let's say aseptic technique or in the clean room where he actually operates. So here we see a gap which is like retaining the physical memory when working in the shop floor. And generally these classroom trainings were designed in a way this combines like different roles, let's say engineers, operators, and lab technicians. So this content becomes too generalized to meet FDA's requirement for role specific training as mentioned per 21 CFR 211.25. And coming to, for example, let's say today I have a SOP effective and I'm still waiting for next month training session for taking my training on particular SOP. So here again, it creates a compliance gap where the operator is still executing his tasks on daily basis on the previous versions of the document. Now let's talk about static training. Static training is something like you open a PDF and have a digital log in place so that it is a proof like you have completed this training. So in static training, we see limitations like verification failure. There is a proof like I have opened the document, but there is no proof like I have read and understood the document. Here is the gap. And again, inconsistent trainings leads to like process inconsistencies, which again leads to deviations. So again, checkbox culture. These static trainings encourage employees to view training as a hurdle to pass through, but not really a skill to master. So they still are practiced to shadow their senior operators rather than what is written in the SOP, which is current effective document, which they are supposed to follow this process. And if I'm reading a document and I am having some questions, a static type of training cannot answer my questions. And I am in ambiguity, like I only realize my ambiguity when the mistakes happens at a production line. Until then, it might not be identified or recognized. So again, here we see version control risk. So version control risk is something like larger organization used to have these documents, set it as a binder kind of thing, take the hard copy and keep it as a binders. So again, here I see a audit risk here because if your current binders doesn't match with the effective documents, which are already effective a few days along or few months, this might be an audit risk for you. Thank you.
That's a great point, Anusha. Especially the gap between knowing something and actually performing it on the shop floor. Many employees might understand theory, but when it comes to executing a procedure under real condition, it's a different story. So, and this is where immersive technology like VR-based operating training simulators is starting to change the conversation, not as replacement for classroom or on-the-job training, but as the missing layer that ties them together. The layer where operators can actually practice what they are learned safely, repeatedly, and measurably. But we are in training context is not just a putting on headset. There is a real process behind it, right? Environment replication, procedure design, and assessment logic, assistant intelligence. It's a full training system actually. So, and here we have Vishnu to explain this. Please help us to understand what actually goes into VR operating training simulator. How does it work? And how do you design one for an industrial environment? Over to you, Vishnu.
Thank you, Durga. That's really a great question. And thank you, Anusha, for setting up the context of the necessity of the training simulators at this age. And definitely it's not replacement of the training process, but it's definitely an enhancement to what we are currently doing. To answer your question, TP, on how exactly these training simulators are built on a sequential way. So we at Creon Technology, we have been building this for close to 9 years plus now in terms of building digital twins and training simulators. So training simulators are a photorealistic virtual replica on one-on-one scale uh, built across a factory or across a process line, which also includes its equipments, process, control panels, and even the micro level or the child level assets which are available on the plant to give them the realistic feel of they are inside a virtual environment, which is the lookalike model of their facility. And this is going to give them the on-job training or a practical exposure of how the whole training simulator helps for them. And definitely it is a huge process of how we build it. So we start with environmental replication, which is recreating the whole backdrop of their facility, which is including their process as well. So even the production lines are also replicated with the same logic of how it exactly works on the factory. So that's the environmental recreation. And once we are done with that, we get into the operator immersions, which is technically the recreation of operator routines. It can be a job change, or it can be a shift handing over, taking over, or even the regular instructions which are being passed on for the operator. So the recreation of the behavior or the workflows which has been done, which has to be done by the operators. And once that is done, we move forward into the scenario based learning process, which is the highlight of having a training simulator. We can build any scenarios which is required, but we can get into the operator routine, we can create production failures, we can create electrical failures, and then all these scenarios can be trained for the operators. And the final step is reaching the point of feedback and assessment methodologies, which is really important of how the delivery has happened and whether the operator has got all the information which has to be delivered. And the feedbacks are on real time. Say if they wrongly do a particular step, immediately they'll get a course correction of this to be redone, or there is an assessment which is going live in hand with the step-by-step process which they are getting trained. So this is how we build, right from the 3D environment, and then recreating the human behavior inside the plant, and then redeveloping the whole scenarios for them to practice, which is not practically possible on the field, and then giving them the real-time feedback. So this is the whole story of how we build a training simulator at actual sites.
Yeah, that's really insightful, Vishnu. Now the best way to really appreciate what you have just described to see it. So let's roll a short video of VR simulator in action, and then we will come back and unpack what we have just watched. So I'm going to show the video here. So this is how VR simulator works. So you can see the training dashboards right in front of you, and the pharma environment reveal how it is will be.
Yeah, so this covers the entire day-to-day routine of any workforce at the hierarchy. It can be operators, frontline operators, it can be the production managers, it can be the safety department. So whichever roles and responsibilities they handle, those simulations can be recreated into the training environments.
Yeah. Now we can see the documents, how actually looks in the pharma environment, which is exactly replicated. And also it is guiding the operator how to proceed further to perform a task, which is impossible in the normal training sessions. Now you're seeing capsule packaging line, entire capsule packaging line, So how the capsule bottles are filling, where the capsule insertion is happening. You can see closed loop, how the real environment looks. You also see HMI environments where exactly replicate of real-time environments. So the capsule desiccator pouch is going into capsule bottle. And you can observe the production speed, how many bottles are rejected. Now cotton insertion is taking place. So this is exactly a replicate of pharma environment. You can see the environment, how it looks exactly in the packaging section. With the hazard lights and it is going through metal detector now. And you can observe now it is going to packaging. Labeling is taking place. And labeling now it is putting into a box. And the analyst can virtually place into the box where it will give you an idea how to do that activity. And here is the best part. You can get a post-training assessment readily available so that you don't need to go back and check whether the trainee really understood the process or not. So this is how training VR simulators work in the real time. Yeah, now that's the outcome. So how now we have seen how the VR simulators work. Vishnu, can you now take you through a high-level solution architecture and also what is the outcome for the industries once you implement these VR simulators for any organization?
Right. Yeah, DP. So, yeah, thank you. So I'll start with the solution architecture part. Say, all right. Yeah, this is the benefit slide. If you can move to the architecture, I can just walk through the architecture and get back here. Yeah. So the architecture looks like a two-layer technically, where the front-end application is the immersive 3D environment which we create, and the whole back-end application has multiple sub-layers within, which has the core engine and the whole modules and assessment systems behind it. And the virtual replica is what we were discussing on the recreation of the whole factory process, which is going to be the 3D plant environment. And then we try to bring in the physics-based simulation, because even when we saw the video which was shown by TP, we can see the objects moving and the filling action happens, the pick and place action happens. All these are physics driven. So we recreate the whole process of the factory into our virtual environment, and we definitely have haptic feedbacks also included. So all these are the visual layer which we add on the training simulator, and the backend system, which is the core engine which runs below that, includes the training modules, the digital assistance, and the assessment module. So training modules are of multiple types, like even startup and shutdown processes can be created. Emergency scenarios can be created, process deviations. Adding to that, we also have hazardous training which we can recreate, like any fire situations or any toxic gas release situations. So any kind of hazard environment which is practically not possible to be shown in the real life situations, we can recreate here in the process. And the digital assistance, we have a detailed conversation upcoming, but yeah, we can bring in a assistive module for making this whole process a self-learning system. And assessment is to evaluate whether the content is delivered rightly, the the user has understood it in a right way, and the whole assessment happens with an automated report generation process, which is also very important for our compliances. And the report generation is definitely can be integrated into the existing LMS as well. Also, it can be kept as a standalone. So the architecture, as I described, it's two-layer where you have the front-end application, which is an immersive VR environment, and the backend has the core system, which is module selection, integrations, and then the assistive and the assessment module, and which is definitely integrated to a report generation to see how the efficiency has grown. Yeah. Moving forward, the benefits of how I mean the solution enables the existing users are definitely it improves the efficiency level, which we have practically seen in many industries, where we have easily seen 80% of training time being cut, and increasing the efficiency level up to 50% in terms of protections. And we can have the users use the application for repeated scenarios, because there is no prototype involved, there is no physical classroom involved, so definitely they can try it out for multiple times to build their muscle memory for the day-to-day operations. And we can communicate the SOP guided in a more digitized manner. Generally, the SOP is being communicated through emails, through documents, which is might be in at some way miscommunicating in a, or misunderstood in a few steps. But here, when it is a visual queue system, they easily grasp those contents, and it's in a digitized way of updating your SOP systems. And when it is automated scoring, it's unbiased, it's completely a regulated process of scoring the efficiency level of an operator and then digitally recording those. So these benefits, having included with the digital assistance of cutting down your regular mentor processing inside your facility, gives the whole benefit of having a VR training simulator at place. Yeah, DP.
So now we understand high-level solution architecture along with the benefits. So one of the biggest gaps in industrial training is not the routine work. So it's the rare and high-risk scenarios, right? So the ones you can't stage in a live plant without any real consequences. So Vishnu, can we actually let operators master those procedures, the ones that are too compliance sensitive or too expensive to recreate in real life?
All right. Absolutely. Say the bringing in the high risk scenarios inside the virtual environment really gives the impact of having a VR training simulator. We all know we had flight simulators for a very long time now, because of the high risk environment of putting a trainee pilot in real life situation. But similarly, for factories to train their operators in high risk situations, it's definitely the virtual environment which is required for the training processes. When we talk about high risk situation, there are multiple categories available, which is, as we are seeing in the screen, emergency shutdown or startups, or the real basis available. And the machine failures is something which we cannot definitely teach in a classroom session. And utility system, any misconnections or failures throughout the process, because utility runs the whole backup for the production. And the complaints breaches, which is also has to be trained for the operators to follow the standard operating procedures. And any new commissioning or any breakdown activities, all these are uh, high value conditions and high risk conditions, which we cannot take a chance of training them on real life situations. So these are high value training modules which we can build and integrate inside the virtual environment.
Thank you, Vishnu, for your explanation. Now, something that makes this even more interesting is the concept of digital training assistant. So, could you explain how the digital trainer works alongside the VR simulator?
All right. Uh, yeah. So we have, I mean, as I was introducing, we have been doing this for quite some time now, close to 9 years, building training simulator for assets as well as for processes. And this digital training assistant is something which is, I should say, new, or with the growth of AI, this also has taken a new shape, which is having a real-time assistance inside the training environment. So what benefits does it provide to the user? So it can provide the contextual guidance. Say when we read a book of SOP or we go through a video, here it's the complete contextual explanation along with the guidance of a digital assistance here. Let's assume we were looking into the training video which was shown some time back. So there was multiple step-by-step processes explained on the log system, and you were going through the whole packaging line. So let's assume there is one query on the packaging line, like why this particular parameter has been set in the HMI. So how do we understand it? So the digital assistance module, which is integrated inside the training simulator, can give you a explanation of why this variable, how it was designed, what happens if it goes wrong. So all this kind of contextual guidance can be provided inside the virtual environment. And when we are inside this module, it's not completely blinded. There is a real-time error flagging system along with the DTA which is available, which means whenever you take a wrong step or you're doing a wrong action inside the environment, it's not just directional. Even when you're executing a particular workflow and when you are doing a particular activity wrongly, it will be immediately flagging you on the process, and you will be guided on how it has to be exactly done. So it cannot be, let's assume we have a 3000 operators at the shop floor. We cannot have 3000 mentors hand holding them to do this particular course correction for every single activity. But in training simulators, it is possible. Having 3000 virtual assistants in the environment to train the resources is practically possible with the DTA modules. And performance tracking is definitely required because there is not much of assessment systems available except the classrooms and evaluation systems in place. But here, when we build a scenario, we build along with the assessment systems as well, by which for every single scenario, whether the operators are trained to do it, the operators efficiency level to address that particular scenario, everything is being tracked and assessed. And then when it comes to the adaptation of it, say the DTA analysis the performances in real time, and then it can also fine tune the complexity level of the training module according to the user's performance, which is being handled. So these kind of micro adjustments are not technically possible on a classroom session, but here in the DTA module, you'll be able to even judge the operator and then start fine tuning your content delivery based on the absorption patterns of the operators. And yes, of course, on the certification process and at the end of the module, we will be doing a digitally signed competency report, which includes many assessment metrics as per the company's requirement, as also as per the FDA policies of what all regulatory step-by-step metrics has to be measured and then documented. So these are the sub modules of a DTA, which is going to handhold, understand the user who is undergoing the process, and then report and help them learn it in a much better way in a closed, I mean, in a private environment with not much of human interfaces. So this is the whole DTA concept with the growth of AI.
Yeah, that's powerful, Vishnu. So now one of the challenges with training is ensuring every employee receives consistent guidance. So Anusha, from an organizational perspective, how important is training consistency across teams, plans, and geographies?
Yeah, sure, Durga. Thanks for the insights provided, Vishnu. Let me share my screen. I think my screen is up.
Yes.
Yeah. Just So yeah, training consistency, I would see it as a difference between the global quality culture and collection of uncoordinated silos. So, in pharmaceutical industry, where they operate under strict regulatory oversight, because errors directly has an impact on patient safety, product efficacy, and public health as well. So, inconsistent trainings leads to process variations, which might again cause errors. And because of this, we might face deviations, batch rejections, contamination issues, and also at times data integrity issues. And on the other hand, if we have a consistent training, so it builds a culture of quality and compliance within the organization. And talking about regulatory and audit risk, so FD and other regulators now expect same level of control over a product, no matter where your product is manufactured. So here, 21 CFR 211 and ICH Q10 emphasizes more on robust pharmaceutical quality systems, where you produce a consistent quality product. And I see the audit risk here is like if you are having inconsistent trainings, these are the major root causes found out in most of the 2025 and 2026 warning letters from FDA. And going to operational efficiency and control, cost control. So if, for example, if plant A has best practices following within their systems and plant B doesn't, so your plant B is at a higher risk. So I'm risk in the sense you are going to face more deviations and more investigations leading to batch failures and costly reworks. Apart from this, if you have cross plant consistency, what you are adapting processes from other plant, it reduces your process variations and also brings up your right first time rates, and overall your manufacturing cost reduces here. And coming to supply chain resilience. So, in an era of onshoring initiatives and global supply pressures, the regulatory bodies and customers expect seamless product delivery. So, if your plant is having issues with the inconsistent processes, which might result in your delays, which might delay your product supply, this may disrupt your supply chain and also finally leading to reputational damage. So, a good true quality culture is something like you are following a streamlined processes and measurable outcomes and continuous learning. So, cross plant consistency helps you to translate the learning from one plant to another plant, where you can take a step forward in innovation front, and also the digital transformation journey becomes easier for you in the current scenarios.
Uh, that's a strong foundation, Anusha. We have covered the why, patient safety, regulatory risk, and the strategic case for consistency. But let's bring this down to the shop floor now.
Yeah.
From a poorly operational standpoint, when an organization actually rolls out VR-based training across their plants, what outcome should they realistically expect? Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So, I would see like four benefits as presenting here from an operational standpoint, which are like a bottom line and also improves your efficiencies and success rates as well when you are transferring traditional training methods to VR based models. So first would be like objective and data driven qualification, as earlier mentioned by Vishnu. The human trainers are subjective, and two supervisors might rate a single operator differently based on their perception how the training goes on. But here, using this VR simulators, which is a data driven qualification. So the system monitors what is your movement, and even the eye track is monitored here, where you are looking into, for example, looking into a pressure gauge when operating a machinery. So here the competency score what you receive is unbiased, and also it proves FDA a solid evidence like proven skill rather than a checkbox culture where we digitally sign a digital log. And coming to consumable elimination of consumable waste, yes, certain training tasks like pipetting, gowning, and also filter integrity testing. So these normally consumes expensive PPEs, reagents, and also specialized single-use reagents. So using this VR simulators, we are using zero physical resources here again, and which sustainably decreases your consumable waste because of training usage. And also these I would say we are reducing the environmental footprint here because the training is completely digital. And here, coming to radical reduction in training lead time, so I see like time to competency is a major bottleneck in production line. So, using these VR models, we are not waiting for a sorry, we are not waiting for a line downtime or a sub availability of a subject matter expertise to take the training sessions. So, training goes on like 24 by 7 in a standard office space, and the result would be like 30 to 50% operational gain, where your new hires are deployed earlier into the production lines, and also the existing employees were trained on a new skill set without stopping their production activities. So coming to zero risk muscle memory development, as we discussed earlier in the limitations, so this is one of the risks we see. So in traditional training, it requires live environment for an operator to have hands-on experience. And this might sometimes might be costlier in case the batch is contaminated or the equipment is damaged. So in VR simulators, we are simulating exactly the process what we are going to perform on the shop floor. Let's say like high stake processors like aseptic connections and bioreactor setup and tablet press clearing. This can be practiced multiple times until the operator is confident like, yes, I can perform this task. So by the time they are entering the shop floor, they're already well aware of the practices and procedures and the control what needs to be done at what time. So this reduces your risk for human errors, which are major cause for 80% of the deviations you see in the production line.
Oh, all right. That's a lot of serious stuff, Anusha. So I think we can have a quick rapid fire run just for fun. The rules are very simple, just short answers only. I hope you both are ready. So my first question is,
DP,
yeah.
before that, there are some questions in Q&A section. Can you take
Oh,
that
okay.
first? That would be good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, sure, sure. Nice. So I think we have questions. Yeah. Pradeepti asked actually three questions, four questions. So let me take one by one. So first question is, in a traditional setting, a human mentor provides nuanced soft skill feedback. Does the digital trainer have the capability to analyze a trainee's decision making rationale, or is it currently limited to tracking the accuracy of the output? So, Vishnu, you want to comment on it? Should I repeat the
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a really great question. Say, comparing it to a classroom session, definitely yes, we are trying to build the muscle memory at first, but scenario handling is subject to the individual presence of mind at that particular moment and how do they respond to it. So both of the capabilities are being trained and tested here when compared to a classroom session. Yeah, I hope that answers.
Thank you. Next question is, with the rise of hybrid learning, can this VR simulator replace physical laboratory hours in a way that is recognized by regulatory bodies? How do we ensure that digital muscle memory translates to physical dexterity when the student eventually enters a real-world manufacturing plant? So they want to understand about physical memory versus digital muscle memory, how it can be.
Correct. Got it. So I'm just trying to bring in a case study here, just to explain the whole process of how it was transformed on an assembly line process. Say, a 200 steps of assembly activity, and it's a cell build area, which means all the 200 steps are being done by one single human resource. So generally how it happens is they'll be given documents, they'll be given drawings, they'll be given prototypes for them to train and test themselves. This happens generally over a period of 6 months. For one model to be trained for the assembly processes, and then it starts with a efficiency level, and then it's as they experience, they generally improve their efficiency. So this is the general practice being followed for decades together. Now having a training simulator, what it does is the whole environment is recreated, which means even before the prototype hard copy, I mean the hardware is available, the digital copy of it is released from the engineering team or the design team. So it is ready for assembly. It's not required physically. So this gives us a lead time, and they can practice it multiple times. They are getting assisted. They don't have to go through the document. They have a assistant which is available inside the module, and this is reducing their overall training time. Largely, we have seen up to 80% reduction on the training time. When we talk about the physical training versus the muscle memory digitally being built, both in terms of cutting down their overall training period and improving or making them job ready instantaneously is the actual benefit what we have really seen in multiple deployments which we have done.
Yeah. Thank you, Vishnu. I hope that answers the question. Coming to the third question, could this technology be used to conduct standardized national practical examinations, ensuring that a student in one region is being tested against the exact same environmental variables and a digital trainer logic as a student in another?
Yes. Yeah, Nisha, you want to add some point here?
Yeah, I would say like the digital trainer is deployed across the geographies. So I think it should be a standardized process across the globe. So once deployed, we can use it for everyone. Though, so we are going to simulate same environment here, wherever the location might be.
Right. Adding to Anisha, yes, DP, this is becoming a practice for mass audience training or evaluation processes, starting from schools to the diplomas or the technical educations. So it's becoming a mass evaluation method by providing them the similar environment, similar assessment methods, and then evaluating on their knowledge base on the virtual space. So this is becoming a practice even in mass trainings, not just for the organization level, even in the society level.
Yeah, thank you, Anusha. Thank you, Vishnu, for insightful answers. So next, moving to the next question. As an academic, I need to provide objective evidence of student competency. Does the simulator generate a standardized competency score that can be mapped directly to our learning outcomes or Pharmacy Council of India requirements?
That's a great question. Say, we can, I mean, this is a platform where the evaluation systems can be set by us. I mean, the developers, the stakeholders. So the authorities' requirements of what all metrics to be measured at what frequency, at using what methods can be followed, or maybe those frameworks can be incorporated into the training simulator space. So I have to understand it in a much better way, but to answer it on a high level, yes, we can build frameworks to comply with the different sectorial authorized requirements of what measurements to be done before we certify a particular user for a particular responsibility.
Yeah. Thank you. So the last question from Pradipti is, in pharmaceutics, we often struggle to show students the molecular behavior of excipients during granulation or the thermodynamics of dissolution. Can your VR environment visualize these invisible physical chemical interactions in real time as the student adjusts parameters?
Right. Why I'm more passionate about the training simulator is looking at something which is uh, not just practically possible, also not physically available. So any form of visualization can be built given informations or available informations in any format. So there is no restrictions in terms of building a visual model unless until informations are not available. To answer your question right away, yes, any nuances of the biochemistry or any particular molecular process which is not visibly available for the training methods can also be built in training simulator, and that's one of the largest advantage of having anything on the virtual space apart from the high risk scenarios which we were discussing. Yeah.
Thank you, Vishnu. I think we are done with questions. If anybody have any questions, please post in the chat box. So we would like to answer that. So now we have 7 more minutes. Just I want to do quick rapid fire round. So just remember short answers only. So I'm going to ask my first question. So one skill that should never be trained only through slides. Who is going to take up?
Yeah, I will take up this question. So yeah, quickly, this skill which shouldn't be trained on slides is, I would say, aseptic technique, because the slides can explain the theory of sterility, but they really can't teach the physical discipline which is required to maintain while performing the process. And you cannot learn to keep your hands out of the path of HEPA filter air by looking at a 2D diagram. It also requires spatial awareness that only 3D model can provide. And also in aseptic techniques, which involves like a slow and deliberate motion to avoid air turbulence, slide does not convey the pace which we need, or a steady hand to eye coordination needed for needle to wire transfers or stopper placements. So that would be an aseptic technique. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anusha. So my next question is, what is biggest myth about VR training? So who is going to answer?
Yeah, so maybe I'll try to explain the myth which I've heard multiple times in many conversations. So it's expensive and it's not scalable. So this is a very common myth which I've heard multiple times, but that's not the case. So in reality, the recurring cost you can just visualize at a flat scale. Every year you have the same cost of SME time, you have the same the classroom expenses which you have, the consumables or the prototypes which you have wasted. So that's a flat expenses every single year which you will be those expenses which are going to be recurring. In when you compare it with the one-time cost which you invest on a training simulator, it's always a declining expenses, because it's all module which you are going to invest and build on various scenarios or the overall delivery which you wanted to build. And this is definitely removing, as we have discussed so far, removing many expenses over a period of time. So you can just visualize a flat recurring expenses versus a high initial cost and then the cost coming down. For a reasonable headcount of operational resources, let's assume a 3,000 employee organization. So generally the cost of VR set will be recovered back much faster, and it easily reduces your the time to deploy a resource at the shop floor level by 80%, which we have practically seen. And also it's highly cost effective in the sense it cut downs your recurring expenses by 50%, by which your ROI happens in generally the 2 to 3 years timeline. So it's a high cost obviously in the beginning, and it is scalable, and it generally the cost declines as we move forward, because we have digital libraries with all modules present, comparing it with the classroom of maybe the traditional method having a recurring cost every single year.
Okay, so I want to ask this question to Anusha. How would you describe the future of workforce training, if in one word, if you want to do it?
So, if it is like one word, I would say adaptive learning systems, which uses AI and VR in a real time, time based, which is again assessing the individual performance. And I would say it is a customized and fills the competency gaps. It
Okay,
also identifies where the operator is struggling, and when the operator needs help, and immediately loops in the digital trainer.
okay, thank you. So yeah, that's it. So we are coming up on time. So before we wrap up, I would love to hear from you if there is one thing you want our audience to walk away with today. So whether they are from training, operations, or compliance. So what it would be. So Anusha, let's start with you.
Okay. So I would see like employee confident, because employees are more confident while using this VR system, because they are already performing the process before going it like hands-on training also. And it also meets the regulatory requirements, like proven skill rather than a checkbox culture, like are they viewing this processor, or can they perform the task? So we are transitioning from checkbox culture to a real model where we can execute with more confidence.
Okay, that's a powerful note, Anusha. Over to you, Vishnu.
Thanks, DP. So, from my perspective of the takeaways from today's conversation is VR isn't just a gamified environment for training purpose. It's more of building a digital library. So we can recreate the whole operator daily routine, every single shift operations or every single plant operations inside the library for anytime access by the users, and along with the definitely a supervision, which is the digital training assistance which we spoke about. And earlier we were not able to do it at scale, in the sense the recurring cost and the regular traditional method has seen its disadvantages multiple times. But here the technology is helping us, especially VR plus AI combination is helping us a lot in terms of building a standardized content library with the supervision system available. And my only ask for all the audience today is a request to start small with one simple process, one simple asset, one simple SOP, which can be replicated across the whole plant, whole process, and whole manufacturing system. So any company which has started the training modules at a POC scale has built a 3 to 4 years of roadmap across all their existing processes to be digitized in using the VR training simulator. So takeaway, my request for takeaway for the audience is to start small with one simple process, and then try to build a whole digital library roadmap across the organization.
Okay, thank you, Anusha, and thank you, Vishnu. Thank you both, and everyone who joined us today. Thank you for being part of this conversation.